You ever notice how people only start listening when something big is about to happen? Not when you whisper, not when you warn, but when the doors creak open and the wind shifts. Then suddenly everyone wants to know what's behind the curtain. Funny creatures, humans. They need the ground to shake before they look up. They wait until the lights flicker to start asking questions. But what if the door isn't just opening? What if you were always meant to walk through it? The signal, yes. It always comes before the explanation, not in thunder, not in flashing neon lights, not in some polite whisper in your ear. No, it shows up in the quiet panic, in the unease you can't quite place, like someone turned the volume of the world down just enough to make you feel the silence. And there you are, still staring at your phone, scrolling through people pretending they're alive, while the truth knocks on your bones like an invisible drumbeat. Tap, tap, tap. A warning wrapped in discomfort. But you wait for proof. Oh, you poor little logic addict. You want data, not discomfort. You want charts, not chills. You want permission from people who never saw what you see? What a joke. You think signals come with instructions? Ha! The real ones come like a glitch in the matrix. A moment you almost miss. You wake up at 3:33, and instead of brushing it off, something in you says, watch. You feel cold in a warm room and your skin crawls like it's trying to escape before you figure it out. That ain't just paranoia, sweetheart. That's the call. But humans are funny. You ask for signs, and when they come, you ask for more. Like you expect heaven to send a memo with bullet points and a deadline. No, heaven ain't HR. And destiny doesn't do customer service. People have this obsession with certainty, as if purpose should come shrink-wrapped, labeled with a receipt. But when the real shift starts, it doesn't show up in answers. It shows up in tension. It shows up in losing taste for things you once craved, friends you outgrow in the blink of an eye, places that feel haunted by your own memories. That's not madness. That's movement. You're being pulled forward by a force that won't explain itself to you. It doesn't owe you clarity. It only offers change. And change, well, that's usually ugly before it's beautiful. You see, the ones who miss the signal, they wait too long. They want the next step before they take the first. They want certainty in a world built on chaos. They sit still while the bridge burns behind them, thinking maybe it's just a warm breeze. And then they wonder why everything feels like it's crumbling. It's because the signal came and they ignored it. They wanted fireworks, but they got silence. They wanted a sermon, but they got chills. And they called it coincidence. Funny, isn't it? The divine sends whispers and we demand echoes. The spirit nudges and we bargain with it like we're shopping. Just give me a little more confirmation. And what happens? You get stuck in circles, chasing comfort in cages. But here's the secret. Discomfort is the signal. It's the itch before the metamorphosis. It's the shadow before the light. And if you wait until it makes sense, well, you'll miss it every single time. Most people are addicted to hindsight. They want to see the big picture before they take a step, but the signal doesn't work like that. It's not a movie trailer. It's a glitch, a flash, a strange encounter that doesn't leave you alone. It's a message so quiet only the broken hear it. Only the outcasts trust it. Only the ones who've been dragged through hell recognize it for what it is, the invitation. But hey, trust the facts, right? Trust what's visible, trust what everyone else trusts, trust the evidence. And ignore the chills that follow you at night. Ignore the strange dreams. Ignore the voice you pretend not to hear. Ignore the coincidences stacking like dominoes behind your doubts. That's what they want. That's what they trained you to do. Stay numb, stay skeptical, stay slow, while the chosen ones get up, pack up, and move when the signal comes. Not because they understand it, but because they feel it. The irony? The ones who act without evidence always look insane until the door they walked through locks behind them and the rest are left outside, still waiting for proof, still arguing with intuition, still demanding answers while time runs out. Because the signal doesn't wait. It shows up once, maybe twice. Then it moves on to someone who doesn't need to be convinced. Someone crazy enough to follow a whisper into the unknown and call it home. Someone who understands that the signal is never meant to explain, only to awaken. They'll tell you timing is everything, as if clocks know destiny, as if the universe waits politely for you to feel ready, organized, prepared. What a fantasy. You think the cosmos sends out calendar invites? You think elevation knocks on the front door, asking, "May I come in now?" Nah, it crashes through your windows at 2 a.m. and flips your entire life upside down without a warning label, because that's how it works when you're marked, when you're selected for something bigger than your tiny plan. It begins when you least expect it, when you're broke, when you're tired, when you're angry, when you're in the middle of trying to survive a life you didn't even choose. Boom. That's the starting line. You want a ceremony, you want a title, you want a fresh haircut and a new journal to begin, but the beginning doesn't care about your aesthetics. It comes like a thief. No red carpet, no spotlight, just chaos and clarity disguised as discomfort. Suddenly you can't stand where you are, but you're terrified of where you're going. That tension, that's not anxiety. That's alignment in disguise. It's the push, the pull, the scream inside you whispering, "Go." But your mind, oh, it loves the cage. It loves the routine. Even if the routine is killing you, because at least it's familiar. And humans, they worship the familiar. Now here's the comedy. Most people pray for change, but when it comes knocking, they pretend they're not home. They peek through the blinds like, "Not yet. I'm not ready." Newsflash, you'll never be ready. Readiness is a myth invented by cowards who wanted an excuse to stay the same. You're not meant to wait for confidence. Confidence shows up after the chaos, not before. You step into the fire, not because you're fearless, but because something deeper inside you knows the flames won't burn, they'll forge. The beginning always looks like the end. That's the trick. It looks like a breakdown, a heartbreak, a failure, a shutdown. You lose people, you lose comfort, you lose your damn mind, and then the void shows up. Empty space. Silence. And most can't handle silence. They start filling it with noise. Scrolling, drinking, texting. Anything but facing what's coming alive inside them. Because beginnings are loud on the inside but quiet on the outside. No one claps, no one cheers, no one tells you you're doing it right. You have to move with no applause. You have to become without being seen. They call that lonely. I call that sacred. But oh, how the world mocks the beginning. They'll laugh at your first steps. They'll question your every move. They'll tell you you've changed, as if that's a bad thing. Of course you've changed. You're evolving. You're shedding the version of you they were comfortable with. And that's terrifying, not for you, but for them. Because your growth reminds them of their stagnancy. Your courage exposes their fear. So they'll try to pull you back with guilt, with nostalgia, but you used to be. The graveyard of dreams is full of people who waited to feel ready, who overthought every urge, who told themselves next month, next year, when the kids grow up, when the money's right, when I'm not so tired. But there's no perfect moment. There's only now. And now doesn't care how you feel about it. It's kicking down your door right now, while you're still half asleep, halfway through convincing yourself you're not worthy, while you're still wearing the weight of who you used to be like a badge, but it's not a badge, it's a chain. So what do you do when the beginning doesn't ask for permission? When it doesn't send an invitation, when it looks like destruction? You either freeze or you move. You either retreat or you rise. And rising? Oh, it's messy, it's clumsy, it's loud and awkward and painful, but it's real. And real, that's what separates the chosen from the crowd. Not talent, not luck, just the willingness to start when everything inside you screams wait. The willingness to become the villain in someone else's story, if it means being the hero in your own. Because the beginning, it never feels like a beginning. It feels like betrayal. It feels like confusion. It feels like being pushed off a cliff with nothing but faith that wings will grow on the way down. But those wings, they don't come from comfort. They come from the fall. They come from the decision to jump before the net appears. From the moment you realize no one's coming to save you because you're the one you've been waiting for. The signal isn't coming. The signal is you. Number 3, the part they never like talking about. See, everyone wants the light, the stage, the applause, the you made it moment, but what they really want, what they need, is the silence. The space where everything falls apart and no one's around to piece it back together. This part, this is about the isolation, the ugly cocoon nobody volunteers for. But that's where the metamorphosis happens, baby. Not on the podium. In the dark. When you're all alone and it's just you and that voice in your head, the one that whispers, "This ain't working." The one that asks, "Why aren't you further?" The one that laughs when you try. Oh, that voice is loud when no one's clapping, when the followers drop, when the results don't match the effort, when you start questioning why you even started. That's when the real transformation begins. Not in the spotlight, in the shadows. People don't get it. They think chosen ones glow from birth, that success is some magical fairy dust sprinkled on the fortunate. But here's the real joke. The chosen ones aren't picked because they're special. They're forged because they don't quit. They cry, they bleed, they break, and then they keep walking. They get laughed at, mocked, underestimated, and they use it. Oh, they use it as fuel, as evidence, as fire. The ones who make it, they didn't get a map. They didn't have a guide. They had rage, hunger, a kind of twisted devotion to something no one else could see. That's the curse and the blessing. Seeing the finish line while you're still crawling through the mud, talking like a king when you're sleeping on floors. moving like a legend with nothing in your bank account but overdraft fees and stubborn hope. In isolation, it doesn't come from failure, it comes from the call to rise, the call to step out of the herd, and when you do, oh, they notice, not to cheer, to question, to throw stones. You've changed. Damn right you have. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped waiting for permission. You stopped shrinking to fit their comfort zones. And when you stop playing small, the people who loved your smallness, they disappear. But that's not loss. That's purification. That's the pruning before the bloom. That's the universe saying, you don't need them where you're going. But it's not easy. Don't let the movies lie to you. There's no montage with upbeat music. There's silence. There's loneliness. There's the gut punch realization that no one's coming to save you, and even darker than that, they don't care if you make it. Most people don't want you to win. They want you to stay predictable, manageable, familiar, because your evolution is threatening. Your glow blinds them. So when you're rising, they'll try to pull you down with words, with silence, with fake concern. Are you okay? You sure this is a good idea? Maybe you're trying too hard. Funny how support vanishes the second you stop being average. But that's the tax of transformation, the price of freedom, the toll booth on the road to becoming, and most, they aren't willing to pay it. Because comfort is addictive, familiar pain is easier than unknown power, so they settle, they fold, they talk big but live small, and they call it maturity, call it being realistic. But you're not buying it. You'd rather be hated for becoming than love for pretend. You'd rather be alone at the top than adored in the middle. That's why you feel different. That's why rooms feel heavier. That's why people feel distant. Because you stopped speaking the language of the caged. You started roaring like someone who's tasted freedom. And freedom is loud, even in silence. The silence is sacred, but it's not empty. It's loaded with instructions, loaded with clarity, loaded with pain that refines instead of destroys. If you can sit with it, if you can dance with the discomfort, if you can learn to breathe in rooms where nobody sees you, then you're already ahead. You don't need validation, you don't need permission, you just need time. Time to grow, time to build, time to burn off the layers that don't belong to the version of you that's coming. And when that version shows up, oh, they'll act like they always believed. But you'll know, you'll remember who doubted, who mocked, who disappeared. You'll remember who sat with you in the dark, and more importantly, who didn't. Because every chosen one walks alone before they rise in front of many. That's the pattern. That's the test. That's the rite of passage disguised as abandonment. And if you're in it right now, the silence, the doubt, the ache, good, that means you're close. It means you're not one of them. It means you've already been marked by something greater than comfort. You ever wonder why it's always the ones who've been through hell that speak with the calmest voice? The ones who walk slow, eyes half closed, like they've seen something the rest of us haven't? That's because they have. They've seen behind the curtain. They've touched the flames and lived to smirk about it, and guess what? They didn't come back with a trophy. They came back with truth. And truth, my friend, is ugly. It's got scars, it's got broken teeth, it's not dressed in silk robes, it shows up barefoot, blood-stained, and bored of your excuses. You want to talk about being chosen? But let's do it right, not the Instagram caption version. Not the feel-good fairy dust dream where the universe just hands you greatness because you believed real hard. No. The real chosen ones, they don't ask to be picked. They get yanked, ripped, dragged into it. They're minding their business one day, and the next, boom. Life hits them with a curse disguised as a calling, and suddenly the air feels heavier. People look at them funny. Things stop working like they used to. Comfort? Gone. Familiarity? Poison. Everything starts to itch. Like reality doesn't fit anymore. That's how it starts. Then come the tests. Oh, they don't give you a handbook, just chaos. Misunderstandings, betrayals, setbacks dressed as dead ends. See, being chosen ain't about applause, it's about pressure. It's about carrying things no one sees and still being expected to smile through it. It's the weight that builds champions or breaks cowards. And when you try to explain it, they tilt their heads, blink slow, ask dumb questions like, why don't you just give up? Like it's that simple. Like giving up would even help. But you can't. You won't. Because something deep inside, older than logic, louder than fear, keeps whispering, keep going. People think that kind of resilience is natural, that it's a personality trait. No. It's survival. It's forged in fire, built in rooms where you cried alone and screamed into pillows because the pressure was suffocating and no one cared. It's built when you keep showing up after everyone else has quit, when you're operating on fumes, on faith, on fragments of old dreams and still manage to move. That's chosen energy. That's what sets you apart. It's not talent, not luck, it's that refusal to stay down, that mad little laugh you let out when life throws another punch and you say, is that all you got? But the world don't like that, makes them uncomfortable. People prefer when you stay small, play nice, be predictable. So when you start growing teeth and speaking your truth, they call you arrogant. When you stop explaining and start executing, they say you've changed. Damn right you've changed. That was the point. That was the cost of answering the call. You lost the old version of yourself, the soft one, the one who needed validation, and birthed something they don't recognize anymore. Good, let them stare, let them speculate, let them talk. You weren't made to be understood. You were made to shift atmospheres. And that shift, it doesn't start when you're clapping back on social media or standing under stage lights. It starts in silence, in solitude, in the moments where it's just you and that echo inside your chest saying, more than this job, more than this city, more than these conversations that taste like cardboard. That ache you feel, that's not depression, that's destiny knocking. That tension, that's purpose outgrowing your current shell. But most people don't get that. They numb it, scroll it away, drink it away, blame it on others. But not you. You sat in it. You listened. You let it burn. And from that burn comes clarity, comes hunger, comes that unshakable decision, I'm not staying here. Not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually, and definitely not physically. That decision, quiet, firm, relentless, becomes the crack in the matrix, the start of the exit. And yeah, the price is high, loneliness, misunderstanding, sacrifice, but the reward? Oh, the reward is freedom. Not the weekend off kind. The I answer to something higher than fear kind. The no one can stop me now kind. But here's the catch. Most won't make it. Not because they can't, but because they'll fold when it hurts. They'll misinterpret pressure as punishment. They'll think being uncomfortable means they're on the wrong path. That's the trap, that's the illusion. And that's why the chosen ones are few. Because most people want ease, not elevation. They want comfort, not calling. But you're different. Not better, not special, just different. You heard the same storm the rest did, and instead of hiding, you walked into it, smiling. Oh, they'll act like they didn't see it coming. Like this was all so sudden. But you saw the signs long before the storm cracked the sky. You felt it, didn't you? That tightening in your chest, that itch in your bones, the whisper in the back of your mind saying something's not right here. You weren't paranoid, you were paying attention. And now it's too late to play dumb. The shift is happening, the curtain's being pulled, and the ones who laughed, they're starting to sweat. Funny how silence becomes noise when truth walks into the room. People start stumbling over their words, eyes darting, fingers pointing, because deep down they knew you were built different, not from gold. No, gold is too soft. You were built from pressure, from days that crushed your lungs and nights that scraped your soul raw, and you kept going, limping, crawling, grinning like a lunatic, not because you liked the pain, but because you knew it meant you were still alive, still in the game. You ever watch people flinch at light, like it burns them? That's what your presence does now. It exposes, illuminates. You've become a walking mirror, and that terrifies them. 'Cause when they look at you, they see everything they buried. Every dream they let die. Every time they said maybe later instead of right now. And you remind them of what they could be, but won't. Because they'd rather curse the fire than walk through it. But you didn't just walk through it, you danced in it, laughed in it, while your skin peeled and your lungs screamed. You didn't ask for a shortcut, you asked for clarity. And clarity comes with a cost. It strips you down, leaves you raw, forces you to see yourself without filters. And once you've seen that version of you, the real one, not the one that fits into everyone else's expectations, you can't go back. You won't fit. You won't sit still. You'll tear down everything that ever made you shrink. They'll call it rebellion, they'll call it ego, but what it really is awakening. And that scares them more than any villain ever could. Because when someone fully wakes up, when they stop pretending, stop apologizing, stop asking for permission, they become unpredictable. And unpredictable people, they change the world. Not with speeches, not with slogans, but with presence, with audacity, with the kind of energy that doesn't knock on doors. It kicks them down. And now you're here. At the edge, you can feel it, can't you? The pull, the calling, like gravity shifted just for you. Everything is lining up. The chaos, the delays, the heartbreak. It wasn't random. It was set up. It was training. And now the ones who tried to break you, they're watching, confused, threatened, because they thought you'd stay in the pit. They never expected you to build a throne in the rubble. You don't need to announce it. The glow speaks for itself, the shift in your walk, the sharpness in your stare, the stillness in your madness. They don't understand it, and that's the point. This wasn't for them. It never was. This was between you and something far bigger, something that doesn't need applause to validate purpose, something that doesn't operate on their clock, their rules, or their approval. The universe doesn't give warnings in billboards. It gives you patterns, repeats, gut punches, dreams that wake you up gasping, coincidences that aren't coincidences, people vanishing when you needed them most, not as punishment but as preparation. Because what's coming, it's not for the weak-hearted, it's not for the ones still pretending, it's for the ones who bled quietly and still chose to rise, again and again and again. And don't expect recognition. Heroes don't get parades until they're gone. While they're alive, they get mocked, feared, misunderstood. But that's the price of playing the game at this level. You don't get to be normal and legendary at the same time. You pick, you sacrifice, you transform. And when it's your time, when the door creaks open, when destiny clears its throat, you walk through. Not because you're ready, but because you refuse to stay behind. They'll say you changed. You did. They'll say you forgot who you were. No, you remembered. You stopped dressing your light in dim colors just to make others comfortable. You stopped laughing at jokes that weren't funny. Stopped nodding at lies that felt like hugs. You chose discomfort over denial. And in a world addicted to pretending, that makes you dangerous. You weren't meant to blend in. You were made to blaze through. And now the path is clearing. The fire is lit, and your shadow's starting to stretch a little longer than usual. That's not an accident. That's alignment. That's legacy stirring in its sleep, waking up, stretching its arms and whispering, "It's time."